I could probably rattle off like 100 neighborhood writers that like had early influence on me. One guy, Dime 139, Stowe, Uncle John. I'm big into collage. A lot of the work that I do is collage work. So early in life, I was kind of exposed to a guy named Joseph Cornell who lived in Queens. It always kind of resonated with me that like, oh, maybe I could do this or something like, wow, someone that doesn't live too far from me like has a career at this, you know. I started writing in '81 and I was probably making collages shortly after. I mean, I could draw as soon as I could hold a crayon in my hand. So I was already kind of down with drawing and then I don't know, it's just one of those things, like it was like a rite of passage. All my friends wrote graffiti, you know, at one point in the early '80s, like everybody had a tag. You know, unlike today, it's like everything revolved around the schoolyard. You know, you wrote graffiti in the schoolyard, you smoked your first cigarettes in the schoolyard, you like would also, you would shoot off fireworks, basketball, like that, just everything, handball, like just everything happened there. So it's like, I ended up just starting picking up a lot of the like firework wrappers and like, even before I knew what pot was, like I'd pick up like easy wider wrappers and bamboo rolling paper wrappers, and I just liked the graphics on them and stuff like that, and I ended up using them in some of my first collages I ever made. When I first started writing, like some of the older writers, and we used to play football with them, and they used to kind of like rough us up. We were like little kids, and so we asked them. A lot of them had 2-letter names, so they said, "Oh, I got my name from the 5th letter of my first name and the 5th letter of my last name." And so my first tag, I wrote OR, and then I just picked a number. My mom happened to be reading the book Catch 22, so I just wrote OR 22. But so shortly after that, I saw this crazy movie that no one's ever saw called Honky Tonk Freeway, and in it was this crazy character whose nickname was Spanky. So I started to write Spanky because I just thought like I was really impressionable age, and I was like, this guy's crazy. But that lasted also maybe a few months, and then I just shortened it to SP. I don't collect materials as much as I used to. I have a lot of materials, and when I travel, I get a lot of materials. But that said, you know, make a long story short, one day, maybe in 2003, I was going to East New York to paint a mural, and I was like a few minutes early, and I seen a bunch of people selling stuff on the street in front of the store, and records, I collect records. So I said, hey, do you have any other records like this? And he was like, yeah, just go inside the store. And I go in there, and it basically was a stationery supply store from 1944 to 1980, and then 1980 it became a record store. So literally one half of the store was all records, and the other half of the store was all like vintage stationery supplies, still like intact, and like, I mean, up to the ceiling. I became friendly with these guys. There's a couple of these brothers, and so that is where I got a lot of my materials. And also the beauty of it is that I'm kind of particular with the materials I use, and I really like to use some of the older kind of paper stuff that has like this really rich kind of use of silkscreen and like these beautiful colors. I'm still like kind of, you know, hung up on like, you know, 70s Rust-Oleum colors, and like all these colors are like still like I use in my work, you know. Like a lot of times I'll draw like all winter, and then kind of as the winter ends and spring comes, I'll like kind of parse out a bunch of different ideas and put them in these books and organize them and stuff like that. And then I start cutting up, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pieces of paper and stuff like that. And then I start kind of laying out compositions, and you know, like I have ideas, you know, sometimes on a little scrap of paper somewhere or something. So I try and keep all that stuff organized. When I moved from one place to another, I was living in Queens, and I moved to another place in Queens. I had come across a bunch of old sketchbooks that had some of my first outlines in it and stuff like that. And so I just was like, oh shit, these are, you know, some of my earliest drawings and stuff like that, or some of my earliest SP pieces. And so I just started to kind of riff on my initial outline. And so a lot of these pieces that I do are, in essence, kind of like born out of the first piece that I ever did. I guess that's something that I'm trying to channel, because for so long I was doing pieces that were like, had to be perfect, had to be like, you know, cut back and stuff like that. And then at a certain point, I was like, you know, these guys in the 70s, you know, just that whole concept of like, hey, the first time I did a top hat on a piece, or the first time I did 3D on a piece, or the first time I did frosting on a piece, or whatever it was, like just that idea of like that kind of fun just really kind of like took over in a certain way. And I just was like, you know, I want to go back kind of and like just have fun. My name is Greg LaMarche, and I'm from New York City.